Welcome back into the film room. I'm your host, Eric Turner, as always, joined by Anthony Prohaska from Disguise Coverage. What's going on, brother?
Man, I'm excited to do this film room.
Are you really? After what we just went through?
Actually, well, for that, no. So yeah, I would say peek behind the curtain from a game standpoint. We're very excited to dive into this film with what the Bills offense did and with what Josh Allen did. But much like last week, Eric is still, as you guys can see, in the hotel down there in Texas, and we are still troubleshooting connection issues and streaming issues and quality issues. So we've been for probably like an hour and 40 minutes now
Almost 2
trying to
hours.
troubleshoot and go and trying different things from Wi-Fi sources. And so it's been a lot. So from that standpoint, no, I'm over it and I'm tired. But from an episode standpoint, I'm pumped. I'm excited. And yeah, I appreciate you. And here we are riding again.
Yeah, let's do another film room episode on the road for me. So yes, there may be some technical difficulties, there may be some glitches, some internet connection issues, but we're gonna try to roll through it without a glitch, hopefully. And so we have a different approach this week with the film, and this episode, and as you know, is going to be all film. No stats. We're not going to jump into PFF and see adjusted completion percentage, all those cool stats from them or SIS. It's going to be strictly film based because it's going to take us forever.
Yeah, we've got 21 clips. 21 clips.
Yes, 21 clips. And we're going to try to keep it light on the X's and O's and analysis because let's be honest here. As I said on social media, I personally believe that this game versus the Patriots was the best game in Josh Allen's career. What are your thoughts on Josh Allen's game against the Patriots and his play within the scheme that Brian Daboll laid out on Sunday afternoon?
I was really impressed with it. I was impressed immediately after the game, and then in watching the film and preparing for this episode, I just came away even more impressed. His ability to, like you mentioned, succeed within the scheme and the structure of the play call as things were designed was impressive in and of itself. But what was even, I would say probably more impressive, the way that he succeeded outside of the scheme and when things broke down, which is what we've come to know Josh Allen for at this point. His ability to succeed outside of the structure and when things go wrong is what makes him that next level quarterback. And what makes all of that, succeeding within the scheme and structure and succeeding outside of it, what makes it all the more impressive is doing it against the number one defense in terms of DVOA, a defense that's third against the pass in DVOA, sixth against the rush, a defense that is varied and multiple and well coached. And we saw a lot of that on display in this game. We saw several snaps, legitimately several snaps where the Pats, they won that rep, whether it was the coverage that they had called for what the Bills were running or the pressure they were generating up front. They won a lot of reps. And at the end of the day, it was still a plus play for the Bills because of what Josh Allen did. And having a quarterback that allows you to succeed when things break down and things go wrong, when everything in the play is telling you that the defense should win this rep, and the fact that they don't, that's a huge thing, let alone when it comes against a defense that, again, is well coached and well taught and has good players, and they know what they're doing. And they threw a lot at Josh Allen in this game, from disguising pressures, disguising coverages, running different looks, running different games. Their communication, the All-22 was great for seeing how much pre-snap communication the Pats had going on, constant checks and hand signals and alerts and trying to counter what Josh Allen was trying to do and adjust at the line of scrimmage. It was a really great chess match in this game, and Josh Allen came out on top almost like time and time again consistently. It was a huge game from him, and I was legitimately very impressed. And, to hear you say that it's probably his best game as a pro, that's high praise, and I think it's warranted given what we're about to look at.
Yeah, and, as we talked about offline, Teddy Nguyen from The Athletic, echoed my sentiments. Ben Fennell, both guys, big X's and O's, film junkies, watch a lot of different film on all the teams. Yeah, they all shared the same opinion that I did for this game, and it just was exciting to watch. And we're going to start off this film. Let's kick it off. We have a bunch of film to get through. This is the first play we're going to talk
just
about.
A little bit of film.
Yeah, just a little bit. 2nd and 10 situation, ball on the 39-yard line, right near the top of the first quarter, 13:27 on the clock, still 0-0. And so I want you guys to look at the trips formation. You see, and this is one thing right off the top. We'll get it over with. Shifting, pre-snap shifting motions it happened on pretty much every play, which is something I know a lot of fans have been calling for. But you saw it right there, and you're going to see it pretty much on every play. 3-by-1 set, ball on the left hash, isolated receiver to the top of the screen is Emmanuel Sanders, and they're just running. They're getting Josh Allen, comfortable in rhythm, getting him those easy completions. This is a curl flat concept to the top, a curl swing concept to the top of the screen. And I just want you to watch Josh work through his progressions here. He's looking down the middle of the field right now, and he sees that Dawson Knox, who's running a curl right near the logo. He's covered. Look at where his eyes go. They go to the top of the screen. He's looking at Sanders running the curl. Well, he's undercut by Duggar, the safety that dropped down. He's got a guy over the top of him with a corner. And what does he do? He gets to number 3, swings at the Singletary. And as you know, Anthony, this little play, this little dump down was the tone setter. You see Hightower get put on his ass. This was a tone setter early in this game.
Huge, especially after. So this is the second play of the game. The play right before this is the throw to Diggs, and it gets punched out and it's incomplete. So you're sitting there at 2nd and 10, and it's a good read by Allen. I love how we went through the progressions, but Duggar is right there to make a play. So this easily could have been 3rd and 6 at best for the Bills offense. And instead,
right here. Yep.
And Duggar's a very good player. You got that too high look pre-snap. He reads Josh Allen. You got it frozen right there. It's beautiful. You see Allen looking right in the middle of the field, and he sees where Bentley and Hightower are. He sees he doesn't have his guy in Dawson Knox. That's after he already came off of Emmanuel Sanders. So boom, you nailed it. He goes to number 3, puts the ball in Singletary's hands, and he hopes that he can make a play. And Devin Singletary plays a little Nelly, if you want to take a ride with me, and just puts his shoulder down, gets into Duggar, and he takes Duggar for a ride. And look at the feet. I thought he was going to be out of bounds, and I thought this play was going to end up being challenged because I was like, okay, he probably stepped out. He didn't. Look at. He's got Duggar off his feet, carrying him on his back. And then Hightower, who is a big thumping linebacker. The fact that he can even cover it all, given his size, is impressive. But he's the thumper. He's a force when he comes forward and makes a tackle. Singletary, while he's carrying Kyle Duggar, still puts his shoulder down and, like you said, puts Hightower on his ass and trucks him. Just
look at Hightower after he's on his ass. Look how frustrated he is.
He's like, damn it.
First of all, obviously the strength and balance along the boundary by Singletary, very nice, very good game from Singletary, top to bottom, especially in these, dump downs, as we're going to talk about how they are as an extension of the run game. But the balance, the strength, and especially the balance right there. I mean, Hightower was coming in for a hit. He didn't get low enough. No. He got put on his keys.
And he's doing that while he's carrying another grown man.
Awesome.
And that's a huge thing. You said it, tone setter. Get that first down, stay ahead of the sticks. Nice momentum piece. Really great decision from Josh, but another huge play from Singletary as we started to see him make a lot of quality plays the last several weeks.
Right. And the second play we're going to take a look at, 2nd and 7 situation, ball on the 47-yard line, still in the first quarter, 12:34 on the clock. So not much further down the line here. And this is a play, it's Josh Allen early on in this game. He took what was given to him, early on, especially the patch. You see them roll into a too high look, nice zone look. Look at the depth. These 3 defenders that cover the middle of the field in this too high Tampa 2 type look.
I'll say Bentley's almost in that Urlacher Tampa 2 type role, trying to split the center.
Look at the depth they're getting. They don't care about the underneath route. So Josh just takes it. And then, what was so good about that, Anthony, was the timing of the dump down, right?
1,000%. Him being able to get to that check down early and on time and in rhythm. He basically gets the ball to Singletary while Bentley and Hightower are still in their drops. And that's a huge thing. There's a big difference. Look when he's already pulling the trigger there. Bentley, literally, because he's so deep in that Tampa 2 type of drop, he's, 5, 10, almost 15 yards downfield. He has to stop his back pedal and come forward. Hightower has to stop. Look how much room there is for Devin Singletary to operate. That happens because Josh gets the ball to him early. There's a big difference when you're a running back or any underneath player catching the ball. There's a big difference getting that ball with time and space versus getting that ball when the defense has made the read and is coming forward to rally and tackle. Again, another example of Josh getting the ball in a player's hands, and it happens to be Devin Singletary again, makes a play, also puts a nice little move on Hightower, puts his foot in the ground, gets forward, and gets some more yards. Him getting to those checkdowns early, almost by design, took advantage of how deep the Patriots were dropping and the type of coverage they were trying to show Josh.
Yeah, and you got to remember Hightower, Bentley, and even Brian after this game. Those three defenders over the middle of the field are the worst cover guys on that defense, hands down. So, keep that in mind as this film rolls on. So, 2nd and 5 situation here. Ball on the 24-yard line, 9:31 on the clock, still in the first quarter, still 0-0. Bills empty it out, but again, look at this, a double shift. You bring Knox in from the bottom of the screen, from the right side of the formation out wide. You bring Singletary out wide from the top of the screen, and they settle into a 4-strong formation, and you can see the Patriots have an automatic check. You can see Duggar and McCourty, they were signaling what looked like a cover 2, Tampa 2 type coverage, as you'll see. Bills have a good call here. It's a 4-strong. So, Anthony, explain what that means. That's what, 4 eligibles, right? To the bottom of the screen here.
Yep. We've become familiar with this as people who break down the Bills because the Chiefs do it all the time. It's a nice look. It's in that flood concept family, and you send 4 guys out, to that side, that 4-strong side, and it puts those defenders in conflict because you set up your offensive guys at different levels and layers. And usually you're if you're a defender, it's damned if you do, damned if you don't, because somebody's going to be open given how many guys are in that area on offense versus how many you have defending it.
Right. And so as I have diagrammed here, the Bills have a good, what we call a smash concept to the bottom of the screen between Sanders and Diggs. Diggs running basically a stop or curl route to the bottom as the number 1. Sanders in a slot running the corner. And you're going to see that, that's really good versus those 2 high looks. But then you're bringing Kumaro across the field. Mm-hmm. And, the Bills, when we talked about these 4-strong formations over the last year and a half, Anthony, you and I, the Bills like to run their RPOs out of this. And that's what you kind of see here. They're selling RPO here. And you can tell that the Patriots were expecting, because look what they do with Hightower right here to the top of the screen. They load the top of the formation, the left side of the formation, where Singletary is coming across Josh Allen's face out of the shotgun to the top of the screen. So they're expecting run, and you even see the nose tackle shoot the gap, blow up that run. But the Bills are running, and this is what the area of the field they like to run their play action bootlegs, usually from under center. But I love the variation. We're going to talk about it in this game. Out of shotgun, and you're going to see it here, a half roll, and here comes Kumaro over the middle of the field. And another thing we're going to talk about is what Dawson Knox, as a blocker here, helps, give Josh that extra time. But it also, that whole fake, that whole action, look what it did to 3 of the 4, 3 of the 5 guys in the front of the Patriots. Those guys aren't even rushing. They can't rush. They're out of the play because they were defending the run to the top of the screen. Yep. So Josh basically has, a lot more time here. The pockets moved, and it's actually good coverage. The defense covered it really well, but Josh is able to, as you said, extend the play. Kumaro finds a soft spot, and then Josh Allen becomes Josh Allen and makes a play and throws it back across his body to Kumaro.
I know Judon tested positive for COVID, and you even mentioned too that he looked a little sluggish out there. But I don't care on this play. Dawson Knox blocked one of the top 15 edge rushers in football one-on-one and got in his way enough to allow Josh some time. That's my favorite part of this play. And my second favorite part, I initially was hollering at Kumaro because as Josh is doing that half roll, I wanted Kumaro to sit down. But as you go in slow-mo here, Bentley starts to turn and he looks and he eyeballs Kumaro.
Yeah.
Yep. And Kumaro sees that. So Kumaro keeps running because I wanted him to settle here so Josh could settle and fire it. But Bentley is watching Kumaro. Kumaro sees that. Josh keeps rolling. And then Bentley turns his head. Yep, you got him queued up right there. Bentley turns his head and keeps running with Josh because he also thinks Kumaro is continuing his run. He takes one last little peek and then keeps eyeballing Josh. And right after he took that last little peek, Kumaro sat. He got square. He showed his numbers, and he made himself available to Josh. So we have a really good block from Dawson Knox and a really good play design from Dable, like you mentioned, because it took multiple defenders out with that run action. So Josh has more room to operate as he rolls. And then we've got Josh taking advantage of his athleticism, throwing back across his body towards the middle of the field, which you are not supposed to do ever, but he did it several times this game and it worked out. So this play is great. Good play design, great block from Dawson Knox, Josh Allen being Josh Allen, and a very smart, heady play by Jake Kumaro to realize where the soft spot was and settle down in that hole, something that we saw Bills receivers do a decent amount in this game consistently in terms of working to the open space in order to make themselves available for Josh.
Yeah, and so we move forward just a little bit. 4th and 2 situation. Bills were very aggressive this game. I'm sure all of the fans, including ourselves, were happy about that. And it was that type of game where, all of the 4th down attempts, I was all for it. And I consider myself more conservative than most. 4th and 2 situation, ball on the 3-yard line here. First quarter, 6:43 on the clock. Again, red zone, low red zone here. And we're going to see the touchdown to Isaiah McKenzie here. Again, this isn't crazy movement, from Singletary here from the backfield to the top of the screen as the Bills empty it out. But the offense is just trying to get some pre-snap indicators on what coverage they're going to run.
Which is very helpful against a team like New England who tries to disguise so many things and play games.
Right. And so then you see Singletary kind of motion back towards the formation and run basically a flat route, a diagonal route. And they're thinking that, hey, if it's man coverage, Singletary is going to come open with sort of like a rub, a pick play. What better place to run a play like that than in Foxborough here? But you see there's nice banjo coverage between Duggar and Mills, I believe, to the top of the screen, the corner out wide there.
Really good job.
A good banjo. So that's covered up. So Josh, at this point, he's got nothing there. So now he gets to number 3. Number 3 is Isaiah McKenzie. I'm going to rewind it back to the diagram because I want you to look what he's running. So basically, McKenzie and Diggs, the slot receiver, McKenzie's in the slot, and then Diggs is number 1 out wide. They're both technically supposed to be running in breaking routes, probably right inside the goal line. And then you have Knox, the innermost receiver, running basically a double China 7 is what usually it's either a backline out route or a corner route. But watch what happens here as Josh makes it to McKenzie. And as McKenzie breaks to the middle of the field, you see McKenzie get taken away. There is, I think that's Phillips, number 21, sitting in the middle as Josh, his eyes and his feet make it over there. That's not open. No. But this is what I love about McKenzie.
So beautiful. So beautiful.
He finds Green, man. He works behind him and extends the play. And I mean, Josh has really good blocking because the Patriots are kind of muddle rushing here, kind of like what Jim Johnson and those coaches used to do against the mobile quarterbacks back in the day. But you see McKenzie find some Green along the back line, and Josh just finds them. And I'm going to bring up the end zone angle, man, so you can talk about it.
I love how you mentioned the muddle rush because New England tried to do this several times in this game, and I think it kind of backfired because it allowed Josh the time in the pocket to find his reads and get through his progression. So you see Judon is kind of contain rush and not really doing anything. Same thing with Van Noy. You see him make contact with Darrell Williams, but then they both kind of just sit. And I think that's 92 Godchow on Bodker. He's roughly kind of doing the same thing as well. A little spy there, as you mentioned. But this end zone angle is so beautiful because the sideline angle shows you McKenzie wants to he starts to almost sit a little bit exactly where you're dropping that arrow because he sees where the spot is, but Allen can't get to it in that moment. Boom. So there he goes. McKenzie starts gearing down at this point because he's thinking this is where the throw is going to come. And you nailed it. I love the hell out of this. Josh sees McKenzie. McKenzie sees Josh and where he's eyeballing. And then what does he do? Exactly what you said. He cuts behind Phillips, which means Phillips has to then turn. He has to do kind of like a speed turn with his hips, but he's not going to be able to move fast enough to keep up with McKenzie. McKenzie goes to the green, finds the open spot, and he did kind of what, in a reverse way, of what Kumaro did on the play before. Kumaro found the soft spot and sat. McKenzie found the soft spot by continuing to flow and work towards that spot. And then Allen puts it right on his back shoulder. McKenzie makes a great catch, a catch that Emmanuel Sanders didn't make later in the game. This isn't, I know this is a great play by Josh, but this isn't like the easiest catch for a receiver. Your momentum is carrying you the opposite direction of where the ball is thrown. You have to stop your momentum, and then you have to make a body catch right on that upper part of your shoulder, right where the shoulder pad is. That's all of your shoulder pad is hard, but that area specifically. So you have to make a body catch and genuinely trap the hell out of that ball so it doesn't pop and bounce off like what happens to Manny later in this game. So a really great catch and finish from McKenzie, but it's the headiness, it's the mental side of it that is genuinely impressive. The fact that he reads what's going on in front of him and he decides to make a QB friendly move, run to that green grass, and then we get a bullet from Josh.
Yeah, and just one last note about this, how quickly Josh worked through the progressions. But the other thing that's funny about this is like, okay, right now he's looking at McKenzie, and McKenzie, again, works behind Phillips there. But look at the one last quick peek right there. He actually looked to Diggs, and then he's like, nope, there's nothing there. I'm going to go back to McKenzie in the back of the end zone. I mean, this is the type of game that Josh Allen had. And I said it on Twitter. I said, he snapped through his progressions. He was just so on rhythm. He didn't get stuck processing. He almost knew the coverage better than the defense did. And you're going to see that throughout all of this film. So the next play, score's tied at 7. 1st and 10 situation, ball on the 38-yard line. We're in the second quarter now, 13:24 on the clock. And excuse me, you're going to see the Patriots kind of getting set up. They're a little confused on this play, and this is a shot call that I think Josh Allen could have had Emmanuel Sanders on. But I think, the late movement of the Patriots is not being lined up properly, and it's weird to see Hightower kind of being lost on where to line up, and then you see Bryant, 41 right here, kind of get late set up to the top of the screen. I think that threw Josh off, but in the end, I want you to watch the attempt by Sanders deep. Sanders gets deep here, and as the Patriots roll out into a Tampa 2 cover 2 type look, we're not sure exactly the coverage. It looks like some type of cover 2 type look, but you can see he's got a step on Mills and probably scores here if Josh lets it roll. But as we saw earlier in the game, Josh he checks it down real quick. And, it's one of those things like, hey, you can't be mad at this. Yes, maybe they missed a deep shot, and who knows if they even connect, but Josh gets to his outlet and his check down so quickly with everyone vacating the middle of the field here. It allowed Singletary to immediately turn up field and to move the chains. They immediately moved the chains on this play.
Yeah, similar to the other check down to Singletary earlier, Josh gets to it early, takes advantage of the Patriot defenders still getting into their drops and still moving backwards. They haven't yet started to rally to the football. Like, look, you're slowing it down. Perfect. Josh is looking deep. He's looking touchdown to check down, and he doesn't push it. And I kind of, obviously, hindsight is 2020, but I like that he didn't. In a game like this, where you don't want to take too many risks and you want to stay ahead of the chains against a very good defense, he takes the high percentage safe play, which is, all right, I see what the coverage is. I might be able to make that throw. Nah, forget it. Let me dump it down. And he dumps it down to Singletary, who, again, yards after catch, run after catch, however you want to phrase it there. Yep. And what I also liked about this, too, is the Pats defenders, so you see Singletary get the ball right here. The Patriot defenders are just starting to come up. This Patriot defense is physical. They're smart. They're well coached. They are not the fastest or the most athletic. McCourty can run. Duggar is athletic. J.C. Jackson is athletic. But in that front 7, they're not the most athletic type of group. Bentley is not the most fleet of foot type of linebacker. Neither is Hightower. Phillips is more of a thumper as a safety than he is a fleet of foot kind of guy. So It's a potential mismatch to dump the ball down low to a running back who's got some shiftiness. And you see it right there. He's able to. This is a really good finish from Singletary. He doesn't quite get through all the way, but watch when he gets this ball, he beelines it to that outside. Once he turns, he looks, he sees where Phillips is, and he sees where Bentley is. Look at him sell this, right? His eyes are screaming sideline. So Bentley takes that angle. Phillips takes that angle. And then as they start to come up, he puts his foot in the ground again and gets upfield, gets north and south, and he tries to split those defenders. And it may not seem like a lot, but it's the reason that he finishes this run going forward, and it's the reason that we end up with a first down instead of 2nd down and 1.
Yeah, and so we're going to – you kind of alluded to it earlier. This is that fourth down conversion attempt in the low red zone that goes incomplete. And this is a play that, of course, we've broken down several times. Mesh concept, great versus man, great versus zone, giving Josh Allen options here. So real quick, let's, we're going to walk through the reads or progression here. So quickly out to the flats, you're going to have McKenzie to the top of the screen coming from that bunch look. He's the first read. He's covered up. Now, normally the second read in this mesh concept is Sanders coming from the left side of the formation, the bottom of the screen. He comes across on that mesh concept with Knox. He's usually number 2 here. And I think Josh wants to hit him, but Josh sees not only pressure in his face, but he sees that linebacker sitting right there. So he could throw it right there, but Josh is expecting Sanders to continue through, because Sanders is not supposed to stop there, because that's where the sit route from Diggs is, opening up that passing lane. Sanders is supposed to continue across the field. Well, Josh gets pressure in his face from Barmore, and then you see him get into the scramble drill. It does a great job here of extending the play, but the ball goes incomplete. And this is another thing that's going to come up in this film breakdown. Normally, if Josh breaks a pocket like this to his right, especially, he's just going to continue out here and try to extend as long as he can. Well, KVN, I think that's KVN, sitting out there waiting for him. Watch how Josh kind of commits towards the line of scrimmage right there.
Changes the angle.
Yeah, it changes the angle and gives him enough time to make the throw still, but, not really screw up the spacing of the routes and allowing that guy to get back into the play. So unfortunately, it was dropped by Sanders, but these little things will come back into the film later in this game.
It's a really good job from Van Noy on this play. He takes that upfield rush, and when he doesn't get around the edge, he just kind of presses and then detaches and just says, okay, cool, I'm just going to sit here and wait for Josh Allen to try and make a play. It's a smart, heady play from Van Noy. We saw him and Judon do this a bunch in this game. I really wanted this one to succeed because of how nice of an athletic play it is from Josh. And yeah, you nailed it. Look how he doesn't keep looping. He doesn't keep going to the sideline. He puts his foot in the ground and gets vertical to give himself some kind of opportunity to make this throw on time, because he sees Manny flashing open now. And that's a hard throw. He throws that ball while I think both feet are off the ground. So he's not even like really planted. He's throwing it on the run, coming forward. Yeah, look at he's about to throw it. Here we go. Oh, he's maybe got like a toe on the ground. And he's got that weird little hop step throw. And maybe if he puts it out in front a little bit, it's an easier catch. This one's tough because it's a tough catch. It's a tough throw. Manny's going to kick himself, as any receiver or running back is. If it hits you in the body, hits you in the hands, you got to come down with it. But that's a rep right there that could have been a touchdown. Obviously it wasn't, but the Pats won that rep because of the pressure and the coverage they had on the back end. Manny doesn't continue. That should have been an easy win for the Patriots, but it almost was a win for the Bills because of Josh Allen.
Yeah, and so we fast forward to another fourth down attempt here. So the Bills are now up 10-7. It's a 4th and 2 situation, ball on the 34-yard line. Second quarter, 2:15 on the clock. This is that conversion to Diggs here. So you have Knox coming into the formation. Bills settle into a 2-by-2 set, ball on the left hash. And again, smash concepts, so they're probably expecting some sort of, again, too high look. It's not what they get, but I want you to watch how this unfolds as, this is one of Josh Allen's prettier plays because of the, that pump fake and moving guys. So bottom of the screen, you have Diggs and Knox in the slot here. And Diggs does a great job of separating immediately.
Great route.
He's got a short in breaking route, and he's expecting the ball right now. But as you can see, if Josh throws this, even though there's 2 or 3 yards of separation, there's a good chance that Jamie Collins is going to jump right into that pass lane, and at the very bare minimum, get a piece of that and break it up, and it'll be turnover on downs. Maybe even pick it off and take it for 6 points in the other direction. So what does Josh do? He uses that pump fake that we love right there, and that just moves Collins just a little bit to his right, and it allows Josh to set up and allows Diggs to get into that secondary window, that secondary passing lane. But right here, I have it frozen because I want you to watch the separation that Diggs creates. He doesn't just create that horizontal separation on that in breaking route. What he does is he attacks up the field. He gains ground, and he does it with speed and acceleration here and gets into that secondary window. Josh hits him after the pump fake in that secondary lane, and boom, you have an explosive play on fourth down. A really big play in this game.
Huge. And I love the separation from Diggs, his ability to disengage and not get caught up with J.C. Jackson at the line. And it's so smart and heady. You nailed it. Like, just let it roll in slow-mo there. You see him right here as Diggs detaches. He starts to gear down, like you said, because he's expecting the ball. He's starting to gear down because he's like, all right, cool, the ball's coming. You know, I ran my route past the sticks. It's 4th and 2. I'm running this route at 4. Let's get the first down and keep it moving. But he sees Jamie Collins undercut that. He sees Josh see it. They're on the same page. Josh pump fakes to allow Diggs to get to that secondary window. And I love how you mentioned the upfield cut. It's similar, ironically, to what Diggs did the long touchdown last year in New England on Monday night when he runs that drag. And Allen takes a little bit to find him. Diggs doesn't just keep going horizontally across the field. He takes that upfield angle a little bit, changes the way that J.C. Jackson is trailing him, changes the angle, and gives himself a better opportunity to catch the pass from Josh. This end zone angle nails it perfectly. Josh looks right. Boom. He turns left. He sees it. Nope. Look how much he moved Jamie Collins just from the eyes and the pump fake. And then what does he do? Look at that nice passing window between Lawrence Guy and Van Noy on the defensive line. Look how much space there is between Bentley and Jamie Collins. Diggs has so much room to work. Allen changes his arm angle, fires him in there, fires it in there. And look at how right when Diggs catches this ball, it's coming through. Allen fires a dart. Look how much separation there is. Like J.C. Jackson stumbling, trying to get a hand on this ball. It may not seem like a ton, but it is because Stephon Diggs was gearing down in this route. J.C. Jackson was coming forward with pace. The fact that Diggs was still able to separate like 2 to 3 yards after he started gearing down is a testament to his explosion, his ability to understand angles and change of direction, and boom, gets upfield, puts his head down. That was a huge, look how pumped, look how Bates goes down, flexing the muscles, a little head bump there. All these plays that we're diagramming and breaking down here are successful from an X's and O standpoint, but even more so from an emotional and mentality standpoint. Huge.
Yeah. Great point. And this is the touchdown to Diggs with Diggs in the slot versus Jackson. Jackson didn't get any help, and that's 6 points.
This throw is dumb.
So let's set this play up here. Again, empty set here. 3rd and 11 situation. Bills are still up 10-7 here. Ball on the 12-yard line, 148 on the clock. And as I said, the Bills empty it out. They have 3 receivers to the right of formation. Josh calls alert. Diggs in the slot to the bottom. Singletary out wide to the left side of the formation here. And, you know, you have Singletary running a go route, and Diggs is one-on-one with J.C. Jackson. There is no safety to the middle of the field, which is very odd given the situation, especially once they saw Diggs in the slot. You see some really nice separation during that release phase. And yes, you know, Jackson has a little help in the short area, but again, this is third down here. You know, so I mean, they have to get to what, the 1-yard line. This is 3rd and long. That help underneath means squat. Why they have McCourty, the only safety that pops out, number 32 near the top of the screen, the hash there, like why his back is to Diggs and, you know, really helping out, doing a 3-over-2 to McKenzie and Sanders to the top of the screen. I don't know why they called this play, but it left Diggs wide open. And as you'll see from the end zone angle, Josh's arm talent again on full display, but not just the velocity. I want you to watch the placement of this throw. It is just right on his hands. I mean, look at that. Like, you can't defend that.
Stupid.
You can't defend that, Anthony. You just can't defend that, bro.
That throw is on a rope. It's a laser, a frozen rope, you know, whatever verbiage you want to go with. And the coverage is super interesting, you know, as you let this play run, just to show how, he just steps into it straight downfield, right over Collins's outstretched hands. That's the benefit of having a tall quarterback. And, just really quality throw, catches Diggs perfectly in step, in rhythm, a nice hands catch. The coverage for this one from New England was very confusing. Like, I was starting to think like, okay, was this like a cover one and they were trying to disguise it. And so McCourty is supposed to bail. And I got my Devons confused. McCourty's supposed to bail and supposed to be that single high safety. And that's what I'm thinking it is. And I think Van Noy screwed up. I think he was supposed to carry Diggs more and maybe go a little higher. But instead, like you mentioned, he just provides a little inside support for JC Jackson, doesn't really carry that route from Diggs. And Diggs just gets an easy clear. He fights off JC Jackson's hands, shows himself inside, and there's such a nice passing lane. This one was confusing from a Pats perspective. I don't really get the call. They did this actually a lot. They went with a lot of single high looks, man and zone, but a decent amount of just straight up single high cover one. And they got beat time and time again, especially in the second half by McKenzie on deep overs. This really started that first piece showing that Bills receivers inside could win their routes in one-on-one coverage. And then Diggs gives a nice little Merry Christmas to all the Patriot fans there. One in, I think, an Edelman shirt and one in a Willie McGinnis jersey or something like that. Gives them a nice, like, Merry Christmas, go Red Sox, have a good one. Yeah, there's the guy. There's the Judon. There's somebody in a Brewski jersey with a Patriots hat on. Yeah.
I love it.
There's the Matt Jones guy.
Did that not get you amped up, though? Like, that's the type of emotion that they needed to play with. They came out with the physicality, as you saw in that Singletary catch and run there. You saw, again, those fourth down conversions and the emotions that were shown there. We knew this was a big game. We all know that, but like to see it play out in that way, and for Diggs to do that right there, like, I mean, if there were Bills fans that didn't like Diggs for whatever reason, whether it was his time in Minnesota or what. I don't know how you don't like the guy.
How do you not? The only people not loving that are Patriot fans. And even that, like, your fans are like giving him some flack and he comes right back and tells you to kick rocks. Like, how do you not love that? Like, that's awesome.
Yeah. And so you heard me, or maybe saw me tweet about McKenzie not getting the same respect that Cole Beasley would if he were to play. And I don't think that's surprising.
No.
I don't believe that the Patriots treated McKenzie in the same way that they would have covered Cole Beasley. So we're going to show that here in a few clips. This is a first down and 10 situation. Bills are now up 17-7, ball on the 20-yard line, third quarter. So right at the beginning of the third quarter, this is when McKenzie starts coming on and they start maximizing his skill set. So you see him motion into a trip set, and I want you to watch the Patriots. They play zone coverage, and Bryant is that slot defender right here. And you're going to see the Patriots drop out into what looks like cover three. And, okay, here's Bryant. Here's McKenzie in the flats to the bottom. I mean, maybe Bryant's thinking, hey, Josh is throwing from the left hash, and he's not going to be able to make it all the way out there into the flats. I mean, that was a mistake if that's his thought. Yeah, but they totally ignored McKenzie here, and Josh throws it to him, and McKenzie, gets up field and gets 9 yards on the play. And so we're going to show a couple of these plays where they just straight up ignored McKenzie. And I'm sorry, if Beasley was playing, you're not going to see that, right, Ant?
No, we've seen several teams actually shade their bracket coverage to Beasley instead of Stephon Diggs. That's how much teams respect him, especially on third downs, and especially when he's lined up in the slot as he normally is. They recognize his ability to run those option routes and those choice routes and take advantage of you. So yeah, teams will often double cover Beasley as the primary instead of Stephon Diggs, and you did not see that from the Patriots versus Isaiah McKenzie. And as you said, it allowed the Bills to exploit that matchup time and time again in the second half of this game. This throw is dumb.
Yeah, so let's set this up, because while you saw them ignore McKenzie in zone coverage here, when the Bills found out that the Patriots were in man coverage, they went to McKenzie, and you're going to see a bunch of these clips. So 17-7, first and 10 situation. Again, top of the third quarter, ball on the 36-yard line. It's that deep over out to McKenzie, as you saw real quick. So 3-by-1 set, they bring Knox in, and you get the alert call. They know it's man coverage based on what Phillips did following Knox to the top of the screen. So 3-by-1 set, and this is their wave concept, right? Have those deep over routes. And what's interesting about this, as I leave it up, the diagram up, is that, one thing that a lot of fans have been talking about is that they missed John Brown, that speed, that vertical threat. And I think McKenzie brings some of that in a slightly different manner, but he brings some of that separation down the field. And the Bills used to love running this with Brown and Diggs on those deep crossing routes. And you're going to see McKenzie in the slot to the top, and right off the jump, right off the snap, he smokes Bryant.
It's over.
It's over right there as the Patriots drop out into a single high cover one type look, because this guy right here, again, was on Knox. So Knox stays in the block and then releases. So not only did that safety just kind of get caught in no man's land, he allows McKenzie to go all the way across the field and takes away Sanders. And I honestly do think that Sanders was the primary guy on this, because usually you have that deep over route by McKenzie and then a flatter route by Sanders there. But that safety dropping Knox and letting Judon take him, really takes away that flatter route by Sanders. I think that's where Josh wants to go, as you'll see from the end zone angle. And then he picks up McKenzie late, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then that's why you see that awkward off-platform throw from Josh Allen, but he dropped it in a bucket.
Yeah, that McKenzie route is almost like more of the clearing route than it is like the primary destination. Also, I don't want to point out too many negatives, but this block from Zach Moss makes me want to throw up. Like, it just makes me so angry. He had a nice pickup on the goal line against Dante Hightower earlier. This one against Bentley is terrible, and allows the pressure to get right to Josh, which is the reason he makes that off-platform throw. But this, you said it, the route from McKenzie, look at it's over at this point. McKenzie beats Brian inside. Brian gives him that release inside.
And here comes the disruption that creates even more separation.
And I also love that they didn't collide with each other like Dawson Knox and Manny Sands did earlier in the game. And I think you're spot on. I think Manny is that primary read, but Josh sees
Josh's eyes right there. He's looking right at that safety,
looking at it, and when he sees the safety, he eyeballs the safety right there, right? Mm-hmm. Then his eyes start to shift to the right. Boom, to see the other safety, and he sees Manny, realizes he can't go to that throw because Phillips is still there. Then he's got Bentley in his face, and
I don't know how he throws this. Look at the footwork, look at the balance. It's crazy.
Just a flick of the wrist, I almost am like at a loss for words. This throw is so dumb. Look at the arc, the trajectory, the placement. McKenzie should have 100% caught this, although it's still a tough catch and he bounces on the ground and it goes through. But that should not have any chance of winning. Again, this is part of the things we talked about earlier, right? Like, the Patriots had a call on for this play that worked for a decent amount of the coverage and for what Josh wanted to do in his primary read. And then Bentley wins his one-on-one matchup. You get immediate pressure right through the gut. The hardest thing for a quarterback to deal with is pressure directly in their face, right through the center. That's what Bentley gets on Allen. Allen's primary read isn't there. So he just goes, all right, I'm going to flick this out there and see what we can do. Look at this trajectory is just dumb.
And let's talk about that a little more in depth, because obviously you got the post safety. You can see his feet right there. But Bryant is in a trail tech, and he's trying to close that cushion that was created from McKenzie. So he's trying to work upfield to close that cushion. If Josh throws it upfield more, maybe Bryant gets in a position to just get his hands up the last second. But Josh leads him out in front towards the boundary. And that doesn't allow Bryant to totally track the ball or get his head around, and it keeps it away from the safety. Most importantly, McCourty, obviously, a very, very good safety, one of the best safeties ever. I'll say it. He's a very good safety, at tail end of his career, but he had to keep it away from him. A crazy throw. Wish it was caught, but either way, kudos to Josh Allen for making that play happen with pressure in his face.
And then we started to see this happen more, like those deep overs, especially from speedy receivers. Those deep overs against single high looks, whether it's cover one or cover three, those are coverage beaters regularly. And the Bills got it on that look. And all of a sudden we start to see a change in attack as this second half starts to go through.
Right. And so, it's to McKenzie this time. You saw the motion, looks like zone coverage. Let me set it up. 2nd and 10 situation, still 17-7 for the Bills, in favor of the Bills, ball on the 36-yard line. And 13:36 on the clock. So same drive. You see McKenzie motion across formation. It's more of a bunch set. Josh sees zone coverage. No one, travels with McKenzie. And I said, they ignored McKenzie.
Yeah, they were just like, whatever.
Yeah, they're like, whatever. They're in the zone coverage, but watch the corner out there near the flats. He's just going to carry no one, basically. He's going to keep going there when Josh opens up right to him. They totally ignore McKenzie. But again, snappy decision. Get the ball out to McKenzie. And this is where I will say there's a difference between McKenzie after the catch and Beasley. More times than not, Beasley's going to get 3, 4, 5 yards, get down, protect himself. McKenzie becomes a quicker ball carrier here, turns upfield immediately after a 4 or 5 yard throw, gets upfield and first down, 10 yards, like that quickly. So again, zone coverage, the Patriots ignored McKenzie in the flats. He was open, and that's why, Josh took him versus zone coverage. And then, man, again, you talked about those over routes, but that is an extension of the run game. This is essentially a screen. I mean, think about it that way. Get the ball to McKenzie, get him upfield, move those chains.
These are cheap yards for an offensive, for a quarterback. Like, put the ball in a playmaker's hands and let him get some yards. And it's something I love that you mentioned, that run after catch ability. It's something that not a lot of the Bills players have, and ball placement is important in it, but so is just being athletic and fast and shifty. McKenzie has that ability in spades, and we see him succeed on that previous play by just not really being covered. And here we see him again in that cover one look, another over route, stupid
placement.
Throw.
You said placement there, right?
Yep.
Like,
look at
what is that, dude?
This is similar to last week. We broke down several plays against the Panthers where Allen, especially to Dawson Knox, with Jeremy Chin draped all over him. Allen put the ball where only Dawson Knox could get it. And he did it on this play, and he's doing it while he's falling away from pressure. Right. And just, again, drops it in the bucket to a nice route run by Isaiah McKenzie again.
Yeah,
so Miles Bryant.
This happened on 1st and 10, 47-yard line. Again, same drive in the third quarter. And it's their wave concept, those deep over routes that kind of cross over down the field. And then you got the post from Diggs. Yep. I mean, we miss this play because we haven't seen it that often this year because teams got away from playing man coverage, especially single high looks, right?
They are not giving those single high looks to the Bills.
Not doing it. But, man, this placement and throw from Josh Allen is stupid. It does remind me of a play from the Miami game last year, week 2 last year. I think it was to Beasley, kind of along the same lines. But again, I like the timing, the blocking by the Bills offensive line. There's a little pressure from Barmore, but again, manipulate the pocket just enough. Josh knew he had just enough time to get rid of this ball. And there's the hop. Look at him rotate those hips through.
Bringing that right leg through and allowing that right shoulder to come through is so important to having an accurate throw here.
And then, as you said, Brian's stumbling and fumbling and bumbling. This is there were just so many of these types of throws, dude. And like inside of script, outside of script, like. There was just so many dimes. I mean, where did he throw this from? The 40-something yard line, 43-yard line? Or I'm sorry, no, the
37.
37. Yep. So minus 37 to the positive 35. Like, that's just bonkers. Like, that's not normal.
No, that throw, and even go back a little bit. Right as Barmore's about to get into a 6, there you go. Stop it there. If you go back a small amount right before that, keep going.
Right before
a little before, go backwards as Barmore is just starting to make his pressure. There you go, right there. Miles Bryant, if you let it go slow-mo here, look at Miles Bryant. He knows he's beat. He grabs, he tugs, he pulls. It means nothing to McKenzie. He keeps running through it. I love that. I love how McKenzie does not allow the interference or the holding to stop him at all in this play. He's just like, nah, forget it, and just keeps running through it. And look at that stupid laser throw from Josh Allen as Miles Bryant is stunned. I feel so bad for I don't, but I feel so bad for Miles Bryant after this game because so much of this footage on the back half of this episode is just going to be Isaiah McKenzie beating Miles Bryant over and over. And now this next play is one where the Pats defense just looks up to the sky and curses because this play shouldn't have been successful.
You talked about it, right? You talked about it at the top, demoralizing a team. You have everything planned perfectly. You got a free runner and Duggar coming at him. You think you have Hightower as like a contained guy, and it's over. There's no way. You see KVN popping out. Here comes Josh Allen popping out the right side of the pocket here. And KVN and 2 other guys are right in his face immediately. Duggar's chasing him from behind. There's nowhere to throw. He only has one receiver to his right, and it's Zach Moss covered up by a defender already. So there's no one to really throw to. But then, again, it's Josh Allen, right? he peeks out to his left and somehow, executes a jump pass. I mean, look at him shuffle it with his right here so that he can get his hips around.
Yes. He changes his gait to give himself that ability to torque his body to allow him to get the throw off.
Athleticism, man, that is just crazy. Sanders brings in, again, this is more of a highlight. We're not going to set up down and distance and all that because it didn't matter. It didn't matter on this play. The play design on defense didn't matter. And only thing that mattered is the athleticism from Josh Allen.
And I think it's when I love how Sanders jumps up and snatches it. And right when he goes down, I think it's actually, no, just to do a little diagnosis there. I love this blitz from the Patriots. I love how they have so many guys crowding the line. They shift at the last minute. Van Noy comes up on Darrell Williams just to occupy him and then drops out. Barmore.
We've talked about that, right?
Yep.
We've talked about that. They see more slide to his right. That guy pops out.
Yep, and it's beautiful. And then Barmore drops out. Duggar comes completely free. It's a great game up front. Forces Allen right into where they've got that contained guy in Van Noy. And again, you said it like we alluded to earlier. Everything the Pats did on this play worked. They won this rep. And they lose the snap because Josh Allen makes a play. And it's so, look when he gets tackled. Look at J.C. Jackson. I love that. Yeah. Rewind it and look how upset J.C. Jackson gets. He sees this and he's just like, you see his mouthpiece hanging out and he's like, oh, hands on helmet, undoes the chin strap. That is just frustrated body language for a player. And you see it even in Barmore there as well. Mm-hmm. Everybody's just kind of looking and they're just like, dude, really? Like, and Manny just puts the little hand up like that takes your soul when you do everything right. And somebody, not only did they do everything right, but they forced Josh into do something you should never do. Quarterbacks should never throw across their body to the middle of the field. He does it after they did everything right and they get a first down. Like, come on, that's so frustrating.
Yeah, and here's a play I broke down last night. I couldn't wait to break this one down. So I'm going to set this one up. It's just a 6-yard completion. It's really a mundane type play, but that's why this game for Josh was so great because you saw those athletic plays, those Josh Allen only type plays. But then you saw him, again, take those checkdowns and do so many things in his reads and progressions, just working through them. And you're going to see that on this play. So the Bills are now up 20-14. It's a 1st and 10 situation. We're still in the third quarter, 1:35 on the clock. And you're going to see McKenzie motion from the top of the screen to the bottom. So the Bills now have a trips formation to the bottom of the screen. They have Dawson Knox as kind of the isolated receiver, not totally in line next to the tackle, but, split out a few yards, probably like 3 yards or so. Mm-hmm. And again, it's kind of that play we saw earlier where he runs a curl, you got a swing. But if you guys remember McKenzie's touchdown versus the Seahawks last year, it was that deep over out. This is the very same play. And I want you to watch how quickly, as I let it roll, I want you to watch how quickly Josh rolls through his progressions to make it to Diggs. And Diggs on this play is the 4th read or progression on this play. So to the top of the screen, let's go through the progressions with Josh here. Ball is snapped. Look where his eyes go. Look where he starts his reads to the top of the screen. So now he's looking down. Okay, they're dropping, a single safety deep, but look at what they're doing over the middle here between Bentley and Duggar. Watch them quickly as the ball snap. Watch them switch right here. And that's important because Josh thinks that based on this pre-snap look right here, that curl to Dawson Knox is probably going to be quite open. Yep. But look, it's taken away immediately. Oh, man, they changed the look. Post-snap, taken away. So now I'm going to look to the swing. Is that open? You see the defender right here in the flats. Nah, that's not open either. Okay, who's number 3? Number 3 is, as I showed in the diagram, is McKenzie in the slot, that deep over. That's a touchdown versus Seahawks last year. What's it look like on this play after that rotation between Duggar and Bentley? Well, it's not open. There's a switch. Duggar's on him. That over route's not open. You can see Josh looking right at him right there. Okay, well, who's number 4? Number 4 is Diggs to the bottom of the screen. They're just running a little switch release, curl routes. Here comes Diggs, who's the bottom most receiver, the most outer receiver. Number 1, come inside the numbers, separate. Josh makes it to him on time. Ball's out. 6-yard gain. Mundane play. But that's the 4th read in this progression.
Yeah, that's the key, right? Like, you hit on everything. I don't even need to further elaborate on this play.
I love this play, man. I'm sorry.
It's great because like you said, like it's a mundane thing. And in the grand scheme of it, no one is really coming back to look at a 6-yard gain in especially in a game that's filled with tons
Except us.
of exactly, except us and except you for noticing it right away and putting it in this stuff. Like no one's looking at that because it's just a 6-yard gain, whatever. I want to see the superstar throw where he fades away to his left, or the throw to McKenzie, or the laser touchdown to Diggs.
Yeah.
These ones are just as important, if not more so, because they show his ability to progress mentally. They show what he's doing as a quarterback, to play the position of quarterback. There is so much more to it than just physical ability. It is the reason Drew Brees continued to be successful in his career, even when his arm was dead and he was short and he can't see over the line and all these things. He was such a smart quarterback and he knew how to play quarterback. Being able to go through your progressions this quickly, and also look at his footwork. We saw it on a play earlier and I wanted to call it out, but I didn't. Look at his feet. Look at his feet. Hop, hop, no, turn. His feet are in such good alignment with his shoulders. He is
And eyes.
and his
And
eyes,
more
boom,
most
they
important.
1,000%. They are all in line. The feet, the hips, the shoulders, the eyes. He is ready to pull the trigger at any point. So this is it's a small play. It's mundane,
pretty,
like you
man.
mentioned, but it showcases what he is becoming, his ability to play the position of quarterback from a mental standpoint and from a technical standpoint. Everything, the feet, the hips, the shoulder, the arm, the eyes, connecting it all in his brain. That's how you continue to win successfully. Yes, having athleticism, having a big arm, all the intangibles are fantastic, but getting through your progressions and reads, that's how you win football games. And him doing it on that play is in a microcosm of how he's progressed this year and last year and how he won this game.
Yeah, and so here's another play. Trip set, top of the screen to McKenzie, a simple flat diagonal route, man-to-man coverage. You see it's obviously man-to-man coverage, which means Bryant, the guy right here, has McKenzie. And normally, this is what I didn't understand about what the Patriots were doing. Okay, they saw that the Bills were getting the ball to McKenzie, whether it was zone or man, and they didn't do anything about it.
Nope.
They literally just continued to ignore him. And you see them on this play. I don't know, in years past, they would run we've broken it down, a coverage called stab and combo. So Sanders is the point guy right here. So Mills he's got him man-to-man wherever he goes. That would leave these two defenders the pattern match, McKenzie and Diggs. And now I understand that they don't want Bryant on Diggs. There's no doubt about it. It was very clear that they wanted J.C. Jackson on Diggs and they wanted Duggar on Knox. Those were the two main matchups. They totally ignored McKenzie here because, and I mean, this is a high school play here. It's man-to-man coverage. Well, if you're going to run straight man-to-man and not pattern match this and not banjo this, and, as McKenzie runs out, J.C. Jackson drop him, take the flats, and then Bryant work over the top to Diggs there. If you're not doing that, that's easy yardage. And Josh Allen takes it to McKenzie. And again, this is what I said. They pretty much ignored McKenzie even after he was getting some of those big yard plays, especially against man coverage. I mean, this is elementary stuff right here, man.
Yeah, I didn't understand. You hit it on the head with the stabbing combo and kind of anticipating that, especially after what we saw when we broke down the Allen to McKenzie touchdown. We saw them banjo the top of the routes there. And if they didn't banjo up there, Singletary would have been wide open, but they did, and they did it flawlessly. Here they don't. And yeah, I don't understand it either. And maybe it's because they didn't respect Isaiah McKenzie or didn't think that Allen would go to him like that. But again, at the end of the day, we get a nice, quick, decisive throw from Josh Allen. And I also love, more importantly, he hits McKenzie in stride, which allows McKenzie to get upfield right away, get some yards after catching a first down.
Yeah. And here's another. They're like, okay, well, if you're going to ignore him, I mean, you want to play zone, you want to play man. He's, again, wide open over the middle. Now this is kind of an extended play here. But, I mean, just the zone coverage here. Let's set this up.
These single high looks
crazy,
against the deep crossers deep crossers in general, but especially to speedy receivers, absolutely kill single high coverages, whether it's 3 or 1, whatever you want to do. We saw it several times throughout this episode where McKenzie ate the cover 1 looks and the man coverage. Here he's doing it against zone. They just kept giving the Bills this look, and the Bills were like, all right, cool, we're just going to keep going to McKenzie.
Yeah, and this is the top of the fourth quarter. Josh Allen's under center. They motion McKenzie over, and it's obviously you can see Bryant's alignment on him in the slide. It's showing as single high zone coverage. So probably some type of cover 3 look. You get play action shot call, and you get, Diggs to the bottom of the screen is running a Dino post. So he's just a clearing route. And then you have 2 in-breaking routes, one by McKenzie in the slot, and then a deeper one behind it by Sanders. Again, perfect, combination versus single high looks. And I think Josh looks deep initially, but he feels a little pressure and starts rolling to his left. And McKenzie is, floating towards the boundary there, and he goes up and gets it over Duggar there. And it's better from the end zone angle. But again, they're just allowing McKenzie to go through the zones. No one's picking him up. They're playing zone eyes on Josh Allen. What he's doing, Josh feels a little pressure on this play, and rolls to his left. And then let's look at this again, because look at the throw. Look and get his hips around,
Get
and
it
then
through. Yep, get that right leg through.
The floater.
This
over
also
the
isn't.
top.
This isn't terrible coverage from Duggar. Like, he drops into his zone. He's there. He doesn't turn smooth enough. But this is just great ball placement, getting this ball more upfield than it is to the sideline. And then McKenzie obviously extending. And I think Greg tweeted, I think this play made the You Got Moss segment. Yeah, which is really unfortunate for Duggar. Oh, look at the extension. Look at the ball placement again. Ball placement, something we've seen the last several weeks from Josh Allen. Him putting the ball where, cool, this is the best spot for the ratio of where I can put the ball for my guy to get it versus the defender can't make a play on it. And then kudos to McKenzie for climbing the ladder, extending, getting that ball, bringing it down. Oh, yeah, Duggar's there. It's not horrible coverage from him, but it's not a great look for the Pats given, the concept the Bills are running. Oh, and then McKenzie slams down. The sideline angle shows that he gets up and he's pumped. Yeah, the sideline is pumped. He's pumped. That was also cool too, right? A lot of fans are clamoring for the not enough emotion and soft this and yada yada. And we saw how much they wanted this one. And on this next play, I love how you diagrammed the name of it. In the notes as we did it, you just put pulls a string, and that's exactly what Allen does on this one. I love it.
Yeah. I had to. We had it set up in another program.
When you did it, I knew exactly what play it was before I even pressed play. When I saw pulls a string, I was like, "Oh, this is the Knox one-handed catch."
Yeah. So we went right to the end zone angle. Knox shallow crossing route. Josh Allen scanning the field here. Again, this is that mesh concept. You see the mesh coming over the middle. You see the sit route by Diggs, and KVN gets pressure right in Josh Allen's face to hit to the right side of the offensive line there. And Josh, look how quickly Josh, sets his feet right there so that he can somehow float that ball out there and not have it blocked. Like, if he comes over the top with that throw, there's no way he's completing this. But
look at the arm angle. He throws it around him like a second baseman turning a double play to avoid the runner.
It's so pretty. And then, a one-handed catch to reel it in to Knox there. I just loved some of these plays from Josh Allen, man. He just had 5, 7, 8 type plays like this where you shouldn't be making this throw. It should be getting batted down. Your feet aren't there. Like, you're Josh Allen, right? Like, this is the Josh Allen that came from Wyoming. No, this is a different quarterback now.
Dude, the Pats won this rep. Like, Darrell Williams gets taken out by that spiker inside. Van Noy 53 times his rush really well and cuts right off. So this is like a well-executed game up front. It's a good stunt. And Van Noy is in the throwing lane. He's in the throwing lane. Like, you are in the window. Josh Allen can't even fully bring his arm through. He just flicks it from the elbow. And then that's how he pulls that string. And he pulls his arm right back because Van Noy is right on his arm. And this play doesn't happen if Dawson Knox doesn't make a really good catch and then gets upfield, uses that athleticism. But again, we've said it so many times in this episode, and it's a theme in this game. The Bills won this game, but the Patriots on defense, they did a lot of things well, and they won several snaps that ended up being losses for them because Josh Allen was the difference maker time and time again. And that's a frustrating thing when you have to go back and watch this film as a defender.
Yeah, and Josh Allen made plays along to McKenzie. Here's another deep crossing
crazy, deep crosser again against a single. Crazy.
And again, I don't understand why they didn't adjust to this. So 26-21, the Bills are now up. 3rd and 10 situation. Fourth quarter, 7:26 on the clock. So 3rd and long. And I think this was that drive.
Oh, I was going to say, can I set the table a little for this one as
Yeah,
well?
set the context.
This is
yeah.
the drive. The Patriots just scored a touchdown to make it 21-26. The first play of this drive was the J.C. Jackson dropped interception. The second play, Josh Allen gets pressured and he throws the ball away. So it's 3rd and 10, like you mentioned, 7 minutes, 26 seconds left in the fourth quarter, 3rd and 10, and the stadium is rocking. The defense is playing with ridiculous confidence because they almost picked off Allen. Then they forced him to throw it away. The defense and the stadium know how important this play is, and they are, like you said, rocking. They're confident, they're loud, tons of energy, and Josh Allen just puts another friggin' dagger into their heart with this throw.
Yeah, this 3rd and long. Look at McKenzie working to the top of the screen to get set up. Look at him spit on his gloves. He's getting ready, right? He's ready. He's out wide there. Who comes out there with him?
I wonder
41.
who's going to come out there.
Bryant. Okay, so you're going to see McKenzie motion into that trips. And the slot receiver, the point man of this trips, this little bunch, a little more spread out, but it's more of a bunch set. Diggs is on the line, and that's who kind of helps clear out everything in the middle. But just watch this man coverage. The Patriots didn't give Bryant any help. Look how far off he is from McKenzie.
He's set up for failure from this alignment already.
Yeah, no disruption. Again, he's running like a little follow route right behind the release of Diggs, which is a really nice design from Dable because Jackson is on him. And as Diggs works vertically across the field, Jackson drops him. McCourty takes him. So they're running a nice little bracket coverage on Diggs. And that's, again, in the end, leaves Bryant all alone with no help. Duggar has technically Knox, who's releasing out to the flats there. So he can't help Bryant here.
He tries to get a hand on him, but
he tries. But I mean, yeah, McKenzie's too fast too. And he just runs clear through the middle of the Patriots defense with no help, no disruption. And again, the throw, look where it is. Boom. I mean, on the hands. It's just so freaking pretty from Josh Allen. Another one of those, this is a nonchalant throw from Josh Allen, but this is not an easy throw by any means.
No. And we've shown a lot of plays today where Josh has made the play and he won something out of structure. This was not one of those. The offensive line holds up, they protect, so Josh just gets to sit back and make a throw. And look, he gets to step into it, the nice, pretty release. And what did Josh Allen talk about this offseason? Putting the ball on his receivers in the intermediate area to allow them to run after the catch. He does it. Look at that. Boom. Awesome pause by you there. That ball is caught right with the hands by Isaiah McKenzie, right at his face, right in stride. It's an easy catch for a receiver just to make from a catch perspective, but it's also easy for him to then turn upfield, which he does. He turns upfield, then he protects himself and the ball goes down, keeps that clock running. He's pumped. The sideline's pumped. Again, this is from a technical standpoint, good pass protection, good read by Josh Allen, good route by Isaiah McKenzie and ability to separate. But a momentum standpoint, again, if the Bills don't convert here, if they punt, all of a sudden, New England's got the ball back, only down 5 after just forcing a 3 and out. This was another emotional and mental punch right to the gut from the Bills offense. And then we get literally this next play that we're about to show is the follow-up play right after. And it's another gut punch once again. And I wonder who it's going to go to. And I wonder what kind of route it is.
Very next play, as Anthony said, McKenzie's in the slot, another 3-by-1 set. You get the alert. It's man coverage. What are you guys doing? Single high, man coverage. And they even confirm it just a little bit by Knox moving around. Duggar's following right. Like I don't know what the Patriots were thinking. Either way, we're gonna let it roll.
But great job again from the Bills offense. There was a ton of pre-snap motion to identify, like you mentioned earlier, identify coverages, and the Bills took advantage of it regularly in order to identify and then attack.
Yeah, and this was a little better work by Duggar and the Patriots here. You see McKenzie work inside. Bryant gets outside leverage over the top. And Duggar squeezes him right there. So he forces him to work up the field. And this is very similar to that play that ended I think it was the Browns game where the receiver, Peoples-Jones, was working vertically and then snapped inside, worked into the body of the DB, snapped inside, and everyone thought it should have been a holding call.
Yeah.
Very same thing. McKenzie works into the kitchen of the DB, separates, and
look
then
at that. Look at that
speed.
Look at that snap and separation, man.
But okay, let's get to the pocket.
Sorry, I got excited.
I mean, we don't get to talk about McKenzie all that often, so it's nice to see him, see his opportunity. Now let's look at the play design here. So you get the play fake, half roll. Again, all these guys, they're not even really factors. Josh half rolls it. Now think about this from the grand perspective. Like, look at the pocket Josh has.
Mm-hmm.
Like, look at that. The depth from the pocket, from the line of scrimmage. Look at where he's setting up in this pocket per se. It's a half roll, sets right at the 30-yard line, right hash. Where's McKenzie going? Total opposite direction. No problem. This is Josh Allen. Josh hits him outside the numbers. But again, right on the hands for a first down.
Oh.
Just ridiculous play design. I love how Dable moved the pocket. But he also, kept attacking this man coverage with McKenzie. He didn't get away from it. He didn't get pretty. He said, no, we're going to keep going back to what's working.
Very reminiscent of what the Bills did in the second half against Miami in Buffalo this year, where they just realized, okay, you're going to keep running cover 0 and go one-on-one with Beasley. We're going to take advantage of that matchup. You mentioned a throw Allen made earlier from where it was. So he's 12 yards deep. So he throws this from the right hash. Well, the view we're looking at now from the left hash, but if you're considering it from his vantage point, he throws it from the right hash from about their own 30-yard line. He then throws it to the opposite far sideline at the New England 45. So he's throwing this how many yards deep
crazy.
And how many yards to the opposite side
43.
of the field?
43, probably 45 yards from the sideline. That's bonkers.
Yep. Like that's just the amount of yards like straight downfield combined with the yards from a sideline perspective, like how many air yards this ball travels and how fast it travels and how accurately it travels. It's just, boom, right where his guy can get it, allows him to extend. And yeah,
Chad Hall is always over there to pick these guys up on the sideline.
He's the wind beneath their wings, man. He's what makes them go. Like, and that also can't be understated too. Like that finish, that's a hell of a throw by Josh. It's a great play design. This is a great catch from Isaiah McKenzie. His ability to extend and then take a hard fall right on that turf. That turf, I feel like people don't know enough. Like that turf is hard, and when it's cold, it does not feel good. And he bounces off that hard. The ball hits him in the gut, and he loses his wind a little bit there. But man, that's just a hell of a catch and a hell of a throw. You can't call this play and design this play unless your quarterback has an arm like that. That's
no
it.
Doubt.
This play doesn't exist for this play is not in the packages for 27 out of the 32 NFL teams. There's only like 5 QBs that can run this, and Josh Allen's one of them.
And speaking of plays that not many quarterbacks can run.
Oh boy.
I mean, this was a play that, there's a lot of talk whether this was actually designed or not. I mean, I think it's fair. It's debatable. We have seen, and I've confirmed behind closed doors that Josh does this where he'll call a run to Moss here in the huddle and he'll say, I don't like that look. I'm keeping it myself. I trust myself. And I mean, more times than not, he's been correct. I mean, even Shady McCoy has confirmed that a couple years ago. He was supposed to get a draw handoff and, Josh kept it. But I mean, he wanted it more here, right, Ant?
Dude, he legit wanted it more like that. That's all you can say for it. He fakes it to Moss, rolls out. This play should be dead right here. Collins comes off his block. Also, good job from Deion Dawkins not holding, right?
Thank God.
So Allen hesitates a little just to stop Collins' feet, which he does tremendously. He gives him that little hesitation, creates an angle. But J.C. Jackson has gotten upfield and inside Stephon Diggs. Allen is still like 2-3 yards behind the line of scrimmage at this point. And so that means he's like 4 yards away from the first down. He should not have the first down. And he cuts inside, changes the way he's holding the ball so he can more athletically shimmy his way.
And let me add to that. And why that's important, because if Josh keeps this in his hand and it's tucked away like this, again, ball security thing, he doesn't have he's kind of high cut, right? He's a high cut, bulky type guy. There's a possibility if he tries to make this cut, he may just almost, I don't want to say fall over because that sounds clumsy, but he's not going to have the agility. But by, switching the ball out in a la Shady McCoy fashion, that
Oh,
allows him to use his hands and arms to balance his body and center of gravity so that he can make that sharp of a cut at his size and his weight.
and he makes such a sharp cut. I love your detail there with the ball placement in his hand, and allows him to make that cut. And look how sharp of a cut it is. JC Jackson doesn't even make contact with him. He completely whiffs, and then he clocks Jamie Collins instead. I said it on the post-game show a couple times. This, to me, and I don't think it's hyperbole or exaggeration, it reminded me of that Mike Vick run all those
Oh,
years
yeah.
ago in Minnesota in OT, where he makes that cut, and the linebacker Greg Beekert, and I forget who the other defender is, they both whiff on Vick. They collide with each other, and Vick houses it. This is just a play where, okay, my guy's the best player on the field, and he just goes and makes a play. This is unreal. Also, then we're talking about that first part. He then gets away from Donta Hightower. Yep, gets away, puts his shoulder down, trucks Devin McCourty, finishes forward, like just unreal. That, and look how pumped the sideline is. The coaches all feel it. The players are all looking at each other like, dude, I can't believe he made that play. Look at JC Jackson and Collins getting up slow, looking at each other like, dude, this sucks. Like, that is, you just got your soul taken. And what's even worse is it's not really anything you did wrong. You were in position. Josh Allen just made a play. He was the better guy. That continues the theme of this episode where, oh, the Pats won this play. Uh-oh, no, they didn't, because Josh Allen just changed the dynamic. Like, he just wanted it more, like he said, and he took their soul, and I love it.
No, and I said all show that the Patriots ignored Isaiah McKenzie. Well, guess what? They didn't on this play.
This time they pay attention.
They didn't on this play. Okay, so let's set this up. 3rd and 10 situation here. Ball on the 26-yard line, 3:32 on the clock. Bills are still up 5 points here. And I want you to watch McKenzie motion to the slot to the bottom of the screen as the Bills settle into a 3-by-1 set. Hey, it looks like man coverage, right? You know, Bryant is head up over McKenzie. McKenzie runs a slot fade. And you have Diggs, the number 1 receiver with Jackson on him, kind of run just like a little sit route just inside the numbers there. Right here, he breaks inside. But look what Jackson does.
Yep.
Yeah, he's seen McKenzie go off versus Bryant here. Well, he's going to help deep, right? You see the slot fade. You see Jackson peel off right there to help Bryant. Well, guess what? That just leaves Diggs wide open. Now, Josh has to extend the play a little bit because there's some pressure here. But that allows Diggs to uncover and be wide open. Josh forces the conflict here. He forces this defender to come up on him to defend him scrambling and running the ball. And then, you know, playground Josh comes out, shovels it, one of 2 shovels in this game, right, to Diggs, and Diggs is able to convert, and Diggs' teammates come down there and help, you know, rally the troops down there to get him past the first down marker.
This was huge. Like you said, 4th quarter, 3rd and 10 from the Pats 26. If the Bills don't convert here, probably, depending on how much yards they get, you're thinking field goal, and then it's 29-21. The Pats are still within striking distance. Yep, it's doable. A touchdown and a 2-pointer. I love how you diagram there how he forces the issue for Kyle Van Noy here. So if Van Noy has to sit in coverage and honor Diggs, cool. Allen's got the angle. He's going to run. Boom, you pointed him out right there. Yep. Van Noy is in conflict. If he sits, Allen's going to run for that first. If he comes up like he does, Allen's going to complete it to Diggs. But instead of turning and opening his hips and his shoulder and all that, he just, again, makes a play by flipping it to Diggs. And look at Diggs fight for more yards. If he gets tackled right away, because Jackson comes up flying, right? Yeah. Jackson could make that play, and it could be 4th and 1, 4th and 2. Instead, Diggs, much like McKenzie did and Singletary did earlier in this game, Diggs makes some plays after the catch. He gets some yak. He gets some run after catch. Oh, go back. Look how Deion Dawkins crushes JC
We'll start off with the initial block on Judon. Look at him kick slide wide and just leans on him. You're down.
Takes him down, puts him into the dirt, and then gets up. Keep following Dawkins. Let's keep following him. Big 73, hustling his way downfield. So is Bates. So is Morse. So is Darrell Williams. J.C. Jackson misses the tackle, and Dawkins is like, cool. As you get up, boom.
Sit back down.
just go right back down. Diggs breaks it. Poor Miles Bryant gets dragged a little bit. And, juke. A little whoop from Chris Berman. Another defender misses there. Barmore comes flying, misses. J.C. Jackson gets rocked. And look how pumped.
Yeah.
Diggs is pumped. The linemen are pumped. They know how big that conversion was as J.C. Jackson sits and watches it from the ground. He's probably sick with himself because he knows this whole drive isn't happening if he intercepts that pass on first down. And you mentioned 2 shovels. Now we get another one.
Yeah, and we've broken this play down before. RPO, red zone, go figure.
Yeah, right. Who would have thought?
Yeah, stick concept. You have an Emmanuel Sanders, the outermost receiver, stack in behind Knox, and he's just running a diagonal route to the flats. You have Knox showing like he's going to be running an out route, but then he just sits. And again, Josh gets the keep read right there from Judon, who is feathering down the line of scrimmage. He keeps it, and I just love this play. It's very similar to the play we broke down in the Texans game. It was an RPO to the top of the screen to the right side of the formation. Justin Reed was put in conflict. Josh keeps it here. And what I love about what Josh does here is, he could easily have wanted to bubble this. He could have bubbled this knowing Judon's right here and seeing Duggar is right at the goal line. He could have bubbled this to try to stretch it out wide. What he does is he attacks Duggar right here, and that forces Duggar to come downhill, and it's too easy. He uncovers, and now Josh Allen is able to just shovel it right to Dawson Knox to seal the game.
Similar to what happened on the play before with Kyle Van Noy, this time Allen attacks Kyle Duggar. Kyle Duggar is the defender that is put into conflict, and at that point, it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you sit and stay on Knox, Allen's going to beat you to the pylon unless Jalen Mills can come up through Sanders on the outside. But Duggar this time sees Allen coming, leaves his man, comes forward. And again, Allen's not in a great position to make this throw, but he flips it. Again, a la, a second baseman or a shortstop making that, pitch for a double play. And, really good play design, good timing of it as well. The timing of Knox popping out and sticking and sitting there along with Allen keeping that ball and rolling out. It was just a really quality play design and good execution. And the only thing I love more than that is I think Judon thought Allen was across the line of scrimmage or something, maybe, because he comes down hollering to the ref like the Bills did something illegal. I didn't know what he was complaining about. Maybe he was telling them that he was sick and he didn't feel good. I don't know. But he was pretty mad, and I enjoyed him being mad because he had a couple dirty shots in this game.
Yeah,
so
he had nothing not to be. If it comes out that he is vaccinated and hadn't been tested in a week, that's here nor there. But he finished with one pressure.
Yeah, one pressure.
So he was non-existent in this game, and he was basically useless on this play, on that RPO play from the Bills. So yeah, keep jabbering. Huge play from the Bills. Huge win by the Bills in this game, and it was really, I don't want to say it was a coming out party because it wasn't for Josh. I mean, that's who he is. I mean, we're used to seeing him make those type of plays, those plays outside of script, those explosive plays down the field. But this was one of those games where you saw, again, the mundane, the checkdowns, the extensions of the run game, then those big plays inside and outside of the pocket. You saw him use his legs, put guys in conflict left and right. Again, I said at the top, this was Josh Allen's best game.
It's definitely a performance that will be remembered for a long time for Bills fans. Just one, because of what Josh Allen did, but a lot of it has to do with the quality of opponent they were playing, the fact that it was in New England against a team that the Bills hate, and for the division lead. And we said it multiple times. I don't think it can be stressed enough that, this New England defense is very good in a lot of ways, and they threw a lot at Josh Allen, and whatever they did, he had an answer for, whether it was pre-snap and decision-making, or whether it was post-snap decision-making and execution, or whether it was post, everything went wrong, let me go make a play. And that's the scary thing, right? Like, if you've got somebody who can be the most athletic or win you games when plays break down, and they can also succeed within the scheme and within the structure, then it starts to become like, dude, like, how do we how do we beat this guy? And we've seen it for years with Mahomes up in KC, that plays would break down and he scrambles and runs for a little bit and runs for a first down, or he makes some ridiculous throw that you're just like, we just did everything right on this play and he still threw like a 20-yard dart. Like, what do we do? That happened in this game for the Patriots against Josh Allen. And again, Patriots usually keep their composure. We saw multiple times in this game where they showed visible frustration on defense, and that's because of what this Bills team, led by Josh Allen, were doing offensively. Just it gets to you as a defender.
And, you know, a lot of outsiders saw that first matchup and how disappointed the Bills were. They saw the Poyer Hyde, press conference, and how, how the question asked got under their skin, and how it was obviously they were visibly upset about the game. And it was a big game. Sean McDermott always makes games against Belichick a big game. There's no denying that. That's why he was brought to Buffalo. And that's why you see his defenses have succeeded against the Patriots more times than not. Now, they haven't won a lot of games, but I think that's starting to change here. And when you have a quarterback like Josh Allen playing like that, I don't care who the coach is on the other side, and especially if it's Steve Belichick coordinating most of that defense. I think Josh Allen is going to win more times than not when he plays like that. That was just an ungodly performance from Josh Allen. And you're going to start to see, again, you're going to see a lot of people that watch film over the next week or so analyze this game, and they're going to have a lot of the same sentiments and opinions that we had in this film breakdown. We hope you enjoyed it. So, Anthony, let's wrap this up. Let everyone know where they can find you this week and what content you got dropping.
I am Anthony Prohaska. Find me on Twitter at pro__ant. That's pro2_ANT. You can find me here as the co-host on the Film Room every single week. And you can find me as the host of Disguise Coverage live at 7 p.m. every Wednesday. I have a show coming up tomorrow night at 7 p.m. on Wednesday, breaking down Bills Falcons with a really tremendous guest from Locked On Falcons. So I'm very excited for that. And then you can also find me as one of the 3 co-hosts, along with Mr. Greg Thompson and Aaron Quinn, on the Cover One post-game show live after every Bills game, immediately following the Bills game. It is the best post-game for Bills content, bar none. I don't care if we're talking podcasts and content creation online. I don't care if we're talking radio. So anytime you have a Bills game, immediately when that game's done, come over, check out the Cover One post-game show. We do it better than anybody else.
Yeah, I think that's just go look around. That's all I'm going to say. Just go look around. It's the best post-game show there is. Anthony, thank you for joining me in the film room again. Yeah, hopefully we can do this next week. Hopefully there are no issues. Hopefully this worked out well. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, because we did. I mean, we've watched this game a couple times already, and going through it live like that was fun. So that's Anthony Prohaska from Disguise Coverage. I'm Eric Turner. We'll see you next week.